Hello, non moi c'est Jacques Guillaume.
Hello, my name is Marie-Danielle Guillaume.
Moi invite au bouton de Solstice Realty tous les samedis de 11h à midi pour nous répondre toutes questions sur real estate pour à bord de 1530 AM Radio Puissance Inter.
We invite you to listen to the Solstice Realty radio show every Saturday from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Call us with questions at 904-786-2400. And for more information, call us or text us at 904-386-1726 or call the office at 904-886-3100.
Ou capable toujours les radios à 904-786-2400. Et pour plus d'informations, ou capable toujours contacter nous dans 904-386-1726 ou bien capable les office là dans 904-886-3100. Ou capable toujours contacter n'importe agent Solstice Realty.
And if you did not get a chance to listen to the Solstice Realty radio show, you may listen to the program on YouTube by searching Solstice Realty.
Mesdames et messieurs, Solstice Realty de Jacques Guillaume.
Bonjour tout le monde. Début d'année 11 est arrivé, c'est Solstice Realty qui entre la caillou. N'a salué tout le monde qui attendait, qui toujours prend temps pour un petit chaise bail pour attendre émission Solstice Realty tous les samedis dans le ça. Jeudi à nous un très bon programme pour donc on connaît dans commencement show on toujours faut connaître que ligne téléphone dans est toujours ouvert pour n'importe monde qui a une question, il capable brûler dans il capable brûler station dans 904 786 2400 904 786 2400 et monde qui pas vle relé dans radio il capable toujours texte nos questions yo dans 904 386 1726 904 386 1726. Donc derrière microphone là c'est Jacques Guillaume qui là avec vous matin monsieur Michael Paul il prend congé de nous. Agenda nous gain pour aujourd'hui nous pral parler nous gagner quand monsieur Vidier nous pral parler sur investissement. Avant que nous entrions dans le programme, nous toujours les disclosures pour nous faire connaître que chose ça les recorder et puis la publier online sur YouTube et site Solstice Realty. Intervention auditeur ne doit pas refléter point de vue de Solstice Realty avec tout agent lié et avec staff Radio Puissance Inter. De ce fait, nous avons tout droit pour nous modifier podcast ça avant que nous publiions online. Alright, so for tout le monde qui fait brancher up dans des émissions Solstice Realty, so we are going to take a short break and we'll come back with Monsieur VJ.
Cousin, ça fait longtemps non pas ouais, comment bagaille?
Mon cher, nous là n'a frappé ça n'est fait.
Mon cher, m'a fait des marches pour nous capable venir habiter dans Floride très bientôt avec toute famille là. Est-ce que vous référez à une compagnie qui fait real estate pour aider dans le processus ça?
Bon, m'a bao Solstice Realty avec tout agent lié qui a bail bon service real estate en Haïti et en Floride. Vous pouvez toujours aller sur site yo qui c'est www.solsticerealty.net ou bien vous aller dans 904 886 3100.
Est-ce que son G majorité Semna, les dîmes qui ont caille en Floride et puis tout n'a refusé payer. Est-ce que Solstice Realty fait property management?
Bien sûr mon vieux, n'a loué caille là, collecter loyer chaque mois à l'heure pour majorité.
Merci en pile cousin. Eh bien, si c'est comme ça, yo caille dem vendre caille moyen dans New York.
Pour caille Paula, n'a cherché un agent qui vous vient lister caille là pour venir mettre li à vendre pour sans être chargé. Juste faire nous connaître leur prêt.
Cousin, avant aller, maman me 3 cailles Haïti actuellement. Yon déjà dans loyage et puis 2 l'autre yo vide. Est-ce que vous avez une compagnie qui a aidé en Haïti?
Bien sûr, nous bail service en Haïti tout. So aller sur www.solsticerealty.net et puis cliquez sur Haïti ou après tout argent que nous gagnons Haïti et avec toute propriété que nous avons nous bien loué Haïti.
Solstice Realty ça ou pas gagner ou pas fait même. Mais est-ce que monsieur ça a marié mon?
Non. Solstice pas marié mon. Solstice c'est placer nous placer mon dans caille.
Mesdames et messieurs, Solstice Realty de Jacques Guillaume.
Ça veut dire Solstice.
Solstice, définition de la les Haïti, c'est nous connaissons qui est bien fondé et nous connaissons Solstice et notre realty cap moyen pour acheter car pour vendre car. C'est ça vous connaissez des Solstice.
Mon cher,
on intelligent.
Donc c'est ça que nous devons ajouter en plus pour mon cap tendé là qui va entrer dans le process acheter caille pour connaître comment pour coopérer avec Realtor qui était là et ça m'a dit tout pour mon utiliser un Realtor Solstice qui comprend le langage et qui a aidé à comprendre termes yo mieux dans le niveau qu'elle peut comprendre. Merci.
Moi, tout le programme très instructif. Je crois que c'est bon pour travailler à agent parce que ça permet vraiment qu'on fasse un travail qui est plus rapide, qui est plus bien, qui est plus professionnel, que ce soit passé dehors, gardons en fait, et essayer de faire un coup de fil pour entrer. C'est ça nous apporter à l'émission.
Pas oublier, l'union fait la force. Pas oublier, l'union fait la force.
C'est un monde qui a lutté, disons, pour que ça change dans le domaine real estate en Haïti. Ça aurait les transactions immobilières.
Oui, allô?
Allô?
J'appelle de la France. C'est juste pour me faire un coucou, pour me complimenter nous pour du fait que nous avons informé la communauté haïtienne. De temps en temps, m'écouter nous, parce que tous les femmes, dès que j'ai la possibilité, voilà quoi.
I know that Solstice Realty and their professionals can definitely assist you with any home buying purchase.
Et Jacques est capable de prendre témoignage sur les zones que Jacques, c'est une monde, depuis que je rencontré avec lui, qui a un impact positif dans ce qu'on a réalisé dans Jacksonville.
Hey, Jacques, nous sommes de retour. I'm going to switch to English. So we have Surujnarine Singh, also known as VJ. We are going to talk with the investors. I have Mr. VJ. He is retired from the service, and he has been in Jacksonville since '89. And then he's moving back to Jacksonville. He's a good investor. Actually, VJ and I, we went to school together. We did our masters at Webster University. And then he's the kind of guy, anytime that you call him, he's always there for you. So, VJ, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. So, VJ, since you are new to the community, I'm going to let you do a short interview, and so at least people can match a name with a voice. Go ahead.
Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Surujnarine Singh. All my friends call me VJ because they don't want to kill my first name. I have been living in Jacksonville since 1988. I retired from the military in 2004, and I went to Virginia to seek lucrative employment. And after 11 years, I'm returning to Jacksonville to be a contributing member of Jacksonville.
Welcome.
I'm from Northern Virginia to Florida. I'm a business owner and also an enrolled agent with the IRS. So I try to stay abreast of investment opportunities and also the tax implications of investments. So that's a little bit about me.
Very good,
I'll be
VJ.
speaking to you all guys when we come back from the break.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, VJ, for being on the air with me. And I know you have a lot to say about the market today. So I'm going to take a short break. And when we come back, we will talk about the real estate market, how it is today, and how it used to be 20 to 30 years ago, and what makes home affordable to our millennials, or to everybody who would like to purchase a house, or to anyone who would like to fulfill the dream of home ownership. So, pour tout le monde qui fait brancher ou attendre des émissions Solstice Realty, des microphones, c'est Jacques Guillaume, et au bout du fil, nous gagnons M. Surujnarine Singh, also known as Mr. VJ. Donc, un sujet qui n'a fait débat sur les jeudis, nous avons parlé de comment que real estate aider avec cash flow qui est dans le market, là, c'est-à-dire qui circule, qui bail économie, j'arrête. Donc, nous avons un break tout petit, et puis nous avons tourné tout à l'heure.
We have property here for $990,000.
M'a fait des marches pour nous capables de venir habiter dans Floride très bientôt avec toute famille là. Est-ce que vous référez à une compagnie qui fait real estate pour aider dans le processus ça?
Bon, m'a bao Solstice Realty avec tout agent lié qui a bail bon service real estate en Haïti et en Floride. Ou ka toujours aller sur site yo qui c'est www.solsticerealty.net ou bien carré dans 904 886 3100.
Est-ce que son G Majorie sœur nan, li di m li gen yon kay nan Floride, et puis tenan yon refuse payer. Est-ce que Saltis Realty fait property management?
Bien sûr, mon vieux. N'a loué Kaila, collecté loyer chaque mois, à l'heure pour Marjorie.
Merci en pile, cousin. Eh bien, si c'est comme ça, yo ka aide m vendre kay moyen dans New York tout.
Pour Kay Paula, n'a cherché un agent qui vous vient lister Kaila pour venir mettre li à vendre pour sans être chargé. Juste faire nous connaître l'obwe.
Cousin, avant aller, maman me gen 3 kay Haïti actuellement. Yon déjà dans loyage et puis 2 l'autre yo vide. Est-ce que vous gen yon compagnie qui ka aide en Haïti?
Bien sûr, nous bail service en Haïti tout. So aller sur www.solsticerealty.net et puis cliquez sur Haïti pour voir tout argent que nous gagnons à Haïti et avec toute propriété que nous avons nous bien loué à Haïti.
Saltis Realty ça ou pas gagner ou pas faire même. Mais est-ce que monsieur ça a marié moun?
Non. Solstice pas marié moun. Solstice c'est placer nous placer moun dans Kay.
Mesdames et messieurs, Saltis Realty de Jacques Guillaume.
Bon, nous sommes de retour avec Monsieur VJ au bout du fil. All right, VJ, so let's start talking about how the real estate market is today. Now, let's say anybody wants to buy a house. Anybody wants to own a property. So they just go to the bank, complete the application, or do it over. Well, they don't even have to go to the bank. They can just go online or just pick up the phone, and they can get qualified. And then as long as they meet certain criteria, and then they are approved. Right?
Yes, and the home application process is very simple today thanks to technology and a lot of deregulation of the mortgage markets by the government to allow people like Lending Tree, home lenders online to give people the opportunity to apply online and qualify for mortgages. But that might be, even though it's simple to apply, the qualifications are more stringent because, the home, when we look back at 2008, when the real estate bubble burst, and we're going to get into that later, it means that the banks and the lending institutions are dependent upon themselves and not government help anymore for home mortgage loans.
Okay.
So that's why they make the requirements very stringent because it's a risk for them and they have to manage that risk.
Yeah, but one thing also though, when we talk about risk, I know we'll have the whole one session where we'll be talking about risk, but risk does spill over because the real estate market does not stand by itself. Because look what happened in 2008, 2009, when the real estate market collapsed. I mean, it brought a lot of sections or sectors in the market with it. So now, okay, as you said, it may appear that the process to apply for a loan is easier than it was 20 years ago, but due to technology, because basically now the lenders, they don't have to ask you for your tax return. They just want you to give them green light to request a transcript from the IRS. So basically, they still do the same thing, but they just do it faster. They just do it more efficiently. So now, I mean, from what you are seeing today, yes, the process may appear to be simpler or easier, but it's not really that simple because with technology, a lot of things are being done by the computer versus you pick a package of your tax return and take it to the loan officer while the system can do it automatically, or you can just email it, or you can just, fax it over to the loan officer. But the requirements today are more stringent than they were in 2004, 2005, 2006.
Yes, because Jack, as you know, you're a computer guy. You know that anyone can have access to everything. It's just like a Carfax. Mm-hmm. Your credit is like a Carfax report. Anyone can pull up your credit at any given time as long as you give them a social security number.
Yes.
And they basically can look at your credit score. They can look at all your delinquencies. Everything is accessible for them from the last 15, 20 years.
Exactly.
And so that's why the requirements are more stringent today, and there is a more bigger pool of applicants for mortgages. So these online companies have a wide pool they can gather from, and they will only take the best.
Exactly.
It's just like if you're selling your house, you will want the person that has the best, or you putting out, you're renting your house, you will want the best renter that has a good history of paying.
Yes.
So that's why it's so stringent, because you are competing against a larger pool of applicants, whereas in the past it was a small pool. You were in your city, your village, your town, wherever it was. Now, when you go online, you're creating against nationwide.
Yes, and then I'm glad that you mentioned the quantity now, and then versus the quality. Yes, because in any applicant, I think there are 3 C's that must be met. I mean, the applicant must have the character, which is the credit worthiness, and then the capacity. It has to have a job where the cash is coming out, and then collateral. What do you have in the bank? Do you have cash? Do you have any savings? This kind of stuff. Now, talking about the pool or the quantity, what about demand? I mean, let's talk about the demand now. And whenever you talk about demand, you have to talk about supply, because these two go hand in hand.
Well, you see, the real estate market is starting to come back up, and that's basically driven by what is called the millennials, the younger people, the younger generation, the offspring of the baby boomers. They are finally coming into their earning power, and they're looking now to own something rather than rent, which they are prone to rent. 2/3 of them are renters, and they're happy to rent. And so what the demand is they want to be very, very mobile. They want to be very agile. They don't want to be tied down to anything. So what you're getting out, the supply of what you're getting out there is townhomes, condos, more rather than single family homes, because it's easier to sell in the open market. So if a big millennials, as we call them, wants to sell and move out to somewhere out of city, it's easy to sell a condo where he is on a townhome rather than sell a single family home, which is more involved and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, VJ.
And it's easier for him if he wants to move to rent that townhome to another millennial, because as I said earlier, millennials majority of them are renters.
Yes.
So the rental market is great for a person that's investing in real estate right now.
Exactly. So I mean, 2 things. I remember when I was freshly graduated from college. When I finished college, I didn't know where I wanted to go. I was thinking about moving to Texas. I was thinking about moving to Atlanta, and so I can relate to the millennials. The reason why they don't want to be tied down, because they are not sure where they want to start or finish, or to lay the eggs for their career. So that's why they don't want to be tied down. They are not. I mean, unless if they start a family, or unless if they join the service, then they are more likely to buy a family home. Now, going back to the supply, yes. I mean, if 2/3, I mean, we are talking about 40 million people. So for millennials, so if 2/3 are renters, so what is that saying to investors like you?
Well, for me as an investor, as you know, we have a quadruplex, and the people that live in the quadruplex are basically, single family millennials, and they rent, and they've been renting for a few years now. And so they have 1 kid, and a townhome or a quadruplex is perfect for them.
Yes.
And the other thing about you have to see for the millennials is that's very observant about it is that they like to live where they work, close to where they work.
Exactly.
And so that is causing the urban areas to have the blight of the urban areas is slowly being removed, and we're not seeing that much in Jacksonville, but in the big cities like New York and Washington D.C. and Chicago, those areas are getting a lot of the urban areas are being repopulated by the millennials.
Exactly.
And as for an investor, it's coming to Jacksonville slowly but surely.
Yeah, because Go ahead.
It would be, if you want to invest in real estate, I think the best place to is downtown.
Yeah, because when we look at Springfield, downtown we say Springfield and Riverside. Also in the urban core, you can see that. I mean, if you drive downtown now, you will see some nice condos. You will see some nice complex where investors already started jumping into that area because why? I mean, land is cheap, and those old buildings, they may be cheap and then easier to rehab. The only thing, as long as you have a strong cash flow, you'd better jump in, because one thing about millennials, they want to be where they can just walk to the restaurant, or where they can walk to work, or where they are close to almost everything, entertainment, where they can just drive down the street and go to a Jaguars game. So I guess that's one thing that a lot of investors are paying attention to, because the fact that this new generation, they want to move back to the urban core. So you will see a lot of mobility, a lot of people moving to downtown. And I can tell you also, I manage properties in the Springfield area, and the demand is quite high. VJ also. Now, let's talk about upward movement. When I said upward movement, I'm talking about moving into the middle class, mostly by millennials, because millennials, they are going to replace Generation X, is like your generation, and then your generation is going to replace the baby boomers, because baby boomers, they are retired now, and then the Generation X's, they are about to retire.
Well, what's going to happen, Jack, is the baby boomers are going to start to exit out of, as they become empty nesters. They will start to move into assisted living. They will start to go into, condos on the beach and places like that, and live out their golden years, in their retirement years, in places where they have saved and planned for a long time.
Yes.
And that will free up some of the single family homes, the multi-family homes, for the Generation X to move in. And at the same time, it will allow the developers or the investors to buy the apartment buildings that were occupied by the Generation X people that are moving into single homes now.
Okay.
The older millennials who are starting to achieve their maximum earning power are going to start looking at, the one that has 2-3 kids. They will go into their first homes, single family homes.
Exactly.
And the younger ones that are in their second or third job, they will start, occupying townhomes or condos.
Yes, pretty much. You can foresee the trend, or you can foresee the big change that is coming in the real estate market, mostly when the millennials. Now we were talking about the two-thirds who want to rent, but what about the 1/3 who wants to buy? So we need to plan for the 1/3 who want to invest in real estate, and then of course, and we're talking about millions of people, and then of course, many of them, they may want to live in the suburb. They may want to raise a family, because young couple, yes, they want to live near where there is good school, where they can feel safe. So we are going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll talk about how the real estate market was 20 to 30 years ago. That means in the 1980s. That means from Reagan, Bush to President Clinton's era. So we'll take a short break, and we'll be right back. Bon, nous sommes de retour. Pour tout le monde qui fait brancher ou attendre l'émission Solstice Realty, moi, j'ai au bout du fil, Monsieur Surujnarine Singh, also known, well, mostly known as VJ. He's a good friend of mine, retired military, from the military, and he's an investor, and my former classmate at Webster University. And Lila, au bout du fil avec nous, et puis donc c'est lui qui a parlé sur real estate. Okay, all right, so we are back. Mr. VJ, I'm back. Okay, so now let's take a look at where the real estate market used to be 20 to 30 years ago. So let me start in 1980. Now, just to give you some perspective, in 1980, the average interest rate was 13.5%. That means more than 3 times the rate that we are paying today. So in 1980, the interest rate was 13.5%, and the unemployment rate was at 7.5%. Now, take us there. How was it in 1980 when it comes to real estate transactions?
Well, the thing is, you didn't have all the organization institutions that were lending because the mortgage industry was highly regulated. And the reason it was highly regulated is because if you think back to the 70s, go back a little bit to the 70s, the S&L disaster that happened, the savings and loan disaster that happened in the West and in Texas specifically, that collapsed the housing market there, led to more regulation, more stiffer regulation from the government to control mortgages, to make sure that the banks would not fail because of failed mortgages. And so the banks had a kind of a sort of a monopoly, and the only place that a person could get a break was through the VA or the Federal Housing Authority. They were the only ones that were backing mortgages for lower class people like the military and the middle class people or people wanting to buy a new home. So, and plus the interest rates were very high, and the qualifying requirement as such was very high. You know, you had to have like then we call debt to income ratio. Your debt to income ratio had to be between 40 and 50% before you could qualify for a home mortgage loan. Whereas in the 2004-2005, you could have an 80% debt to income ratio and still qualify for a mortgage. So there was a huge difference at that time, and it's even harder for people to get mortgages 30 years ago than it is 7 years ago, or before the real estate crash.
Well, VJ, and one more thing also. What about the down payment in the 1980s?
Oh yes, you had to put 20%. Even VA, you had to put 10% down, and for FHA it was 20 to 25% down before you could go into a property. You could go into a real estate market, a home. So there were not a lot of people buying homes in the 80s in the middle class range. It was mostly upper middle class that were able to afford homes. And as a result, there was a huge rental market for a lot of people in all the big cities.
Yeah. I mean, just to put into perspective, if you were to buy a house today, whatever your mortgage is, in 1980, it would have been 3 times, because the interest is 3 times the current interest rate now. Okay, and also putting 20% down, that's hefty. And then I was talking with some people in Canada, and some investors. They said it is really hard for people to buy houses in Canada because you have to have great credit and you have to be able to put 20 to 30% down. And here in America, with 3.5%, you can buy a house. Now, 3.5%, what about government incentives? Like for the Florida hardest hit, the FHH, where people can receive $15,000 that they can use toward the down payment and closing costs. So technically in America, if you have great credit, it depends on which county you live, you can buy a house with nearly less money out of pocket. I would say maybe $1,000 or $2,000 out of pocket. While in the 1980s, you had to put 20% down, plus you have a high interest rate that you have to deal with. Okay. All right. So actually, I mean, what what did Reagan do, or what? Because after Reagan and Bush the father came into power.
Well, you see,
go ahead.
You
Vijay.
see, what they did is they basically started to ease the flow of money and provide, easier requirements on the banks to lend money, because lending money is a good thing for the government. To get money flow into real estate, manufacturing, into the economy is good for the economy.
Yes.
And anything that's good for the economy is good for the government, because it creates revenue for the government.
Exactly. Now,
Think about the people, if they have money, they could buy houses, cars, and stuff like that. Everything you buy, you pay taxes on.
Okay. Now,
So that's revenue to the government.
Okay. So, what role did Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac play in that easement of...
And Freddie Mac did not play such a big role until Clinton came to power. He basically had his administration, as he will forever be known as the guy that made housing affordable for middle class and lower middle class people to afford homes.
Okay.
His goal was to make home ownership affordable. And so they basically told Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac that basically you're going to control all the mortgages, and you're going to coordinate with the banks to make sure the mortgages are easily accessible to everyone in America.
Okay.
And so that's where you saw the 20% down went away. The interest rates dropped.
Yes.
Making housing more affordable.
Okay. Now, when Clinton came into power in the early 1990s, by 1995, the interest rate was at 2.8%. I mean, that's the key interest rate. So it's not really, but at least, on average, 3% interest rate, but the unemployment was still at 7.2%. And that, with the low interest rate and then with low down payment, that gave a boost to the economy, because when people are buying, here's the dominoes effect. When people are buying houses, that means they are paying taxes. And then by paying taxes, and then so the government is collecting more money. And then when they buy houses, that means more the builders are building more houses. That means more people are employed. And then so that's how we saw that. Not only just the housing market, but we had the dot-com also with Clinton that really gave a boost to the economy in the 1990s. But every time that we have a boom, real estate always plays a very important role in the market. Now, Vijay, did we have a high supply in the 1990s, or was it just at an equilibrium point in the 1990s?
Well, the thing is, at the same time, you have to remember also the stock market is doing very, very well.
True.
The dot-com was in its prime, and a lot of people were making money, and a lot of people were buying houses, huge houses. The guys, think about San Jose, right?
Yes.
State Road 13. From moving from Jacksonville to Julington Creek, that area was developed during that time.
Yes.
Because in 1994, 1995, that area was just, you could just see the Julington Creek, but there was nothing there.
Yeah.
Now, look at it. $1 million homes line the Julington Creek on State Road 13, all the way to Julington Creek, all the way to St. John's. Those were the guys that were moving from New York and buying real estate in Jacksonville for $300,000, $400,000.
Well,
and putting now what's called $1 million properties.
Well, you just made a very good point. I remember I have contact with some physicians who are moving to Jacksonville, and when they are moving from up north, mostly New York, and when I take them to see houses like $300,000 or $400,000 or $500,000, and they say, well, wow, these houses in New York, that's $2 or $3 million houses. So that's why when they move to Jacksonville, they have enough cash and they can buy those houses and sit on them and wait for the market to rebound, and then they can capitalize on their investment, because Jacksonville is the largest city in terms of superficie in America. So a lot of investors have their eyes on Jacksonville, because Jacksonville has a long way to expand. And then I can tell you too, the city does a great job keeping up with the infrastructure, because that's why everywhere you go in Jacksonville, you see wood construction, which is a great thing. Now, what about the movement? Moving from 1980s and go through. Now, let's talk about the worst one. Right at the end of Bush's son term in 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009, where the interest rate was still low in 2007, 2008, 2009. But
well, what happened as a result of affordable housing, a lot of deregulation took place in the mortgage market and the real estate market, allowing online companies like Capital One, Home Tree, Lending One, all these online companies that were giving exotic, before you used to have a 15-year, 30-year mortgage. You had interest-only mortgages. You had all kinds of different no-interest mortgage, just principal payments. There were a variety of instruments, 40 or 50 instruments that you could have to do a mortgage. There was the 40-year mortgage, there's 50-year mortgage. There was all kinds of exotic instruments that came out.
Yeah, so I guess at that time, if you could breathe, you will get a mortgage. Give me 1 second. So, pour tout le monde qui fait branche ou attendre l'émission Solstice Realty, des microphones, c'est Jacques Guillaume, moi, Monsieur VJ, au bout du fil. Donc, on a parlé sur real estate et comment que real estate les facilite cash flow in the market là, in the mainstream market. So, yes, VJ, let's talk a little bit about deregulation in the late or in the mid 2000 to late 2000, I say 2009. Now, how did the deregulation come into being? What happened?
Well, this is what happened. George Bush, they started to push for Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac didn't have no oversight. Mm-hmm. So, and the banks were basically, taking their mortgages and sending it to Freddie Mae and Fannie Mac. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, and they were sending them, bundling those mortgages, getting their money back that they'd invested in these properties, not notifying, and Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac were not, have oversight of those properties. So a lot of people were buying homes that were not qualified, or they could not repay the mortgages, and so as a result, a lot of bad paper, what we call toxic paper, toxic mortgages, were in the system. And people started to take advantage of that, and you had what you call straw mortgages, where people they had a lot of rackets, even in Florida. People went to the Abdullah brothers or something like that. Abraham brothers went to jail for that.
Okay.
Because of what they were doing. They were paying people to go into properties, take out all the equity of the property, and walk away from it. Walk away from the property, leaving the bank holding, those toxic properties. And all the banks were doing were basically bundling those mortgages and sending them to Fannie Mae and saying, listen, give me money. Here's so many mortgages. But the banks were getting back the money. Who was left holding the bag? Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac.
Well, VJ, I think also...
And so that was the cause. And also the banks were basically saying, okay, insure my... They started to do mortgage-backed securities and selling those on the open market because they asked AIG, if you could remember, to insure those mortgage-backed securities, which AIG did. So when it all came down toppling like a set of dominoes, AIG, who was the insurer, went bankrupt, and the government had to bail out AIG, Fannie Mae, and Freddie Mac.
Okay. Well, we could see the sign.
Without taxpayer dollars, by the way.
Yeah, well, VJ, once we saw that people were buying homes, they were just paying just the interest. They had to have like a teaser mortgage in order to afford the mortgage. That means the lender had to give them like a 1.2 interest for the first year so that they can barely afford the mortgage. We know the real estate market was about to was looming to the end because it was at the end, because yes, I mean we had all the indicators, but a lot of people didn't believe in the key indicators because I mean houses were also extremely expensive in the year 2007, 2008, and then builders, I mean they continue increasing their prices, to the max. And then even when they try to lower the price because, there were not that many buyers who could qualify anyway to buy houses. So then, buyers just walk away or investors pull the cash out. Because I think investors played a key role in the market, either to bring it up or to bring it down. I don't know what you think. I mean, that's the last minute that we are going to spend. I mean, what role do investors play in keeping the market running? So, VJ.
Yes, can you hear? Yes.
Yeah.
What did you say?
Yeah, I mean, for the last thing we are going to talk about, we only have 1 minute. When the real estate market was going down by the end of 2008, 2009, I think most investors started pulling out because they could read the sign, they could see the key indicators where the market was about to come to an end because prices were sky high and people who were buying, I mean, some people had to have like a 1.2% interest rate, like a teaser rate for the first year, so at least they could afford the mortgage. And most of those people were buying on speculation because they said, you know what, though, if I build this house, by the time the house is finished building, I can make $50,000 on it. So,
yes, there was a lot of speculation in the real estate market, and the thing is, you have to remember, when you're janitor or when you're the guy that basically mows your yard, is start talking to you about real estate investment.
And his call just dropped. Well, pendant que VJ a essayé de rentrer dans l'île encore, donc m'a tout dit nous. Merci à tout le monde qui a pris l'émission Solstice Realty. C'est Jacques Guillaume qui est le microphone avec vous. Et pour tout le monde qui a contacté agent Solstice, nous avons Monsieur Michael Paul dans 904-254-93-74 ou bien Monsieur Delouis Cadet dans 904-442-47-60, Monsieur Esval Fertil dans 904-699-64-12, Monsieur Géry Lefanor dans 904-600-8105, Monsieur Omer Thomas dans 904-860-49-13, Monsieur Indier Etienne dans 904-405-23-46.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we have Mr. VJ back. His call was dropped. Yes.
Yes. As I was saying before we got cut off, I said when you're the guy that mows your grass or the guy that comes to pick up your garbage, start to discuss investments with you, it's time to leave. And so at that time there was a lot of speculation, a lot of because it was easy to get mortgages, and a lot of people were basically qualifying with no money down, as you said, teaser rates and all kinds of exotic stuff that they were doing. And no one had oversight of the whole mortgage program. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac were basically running off their own, independent as they are, and every attempt to try to get government oversight of them failed in all congressional acts that were passed. So it was primed for disaster, and the people that saw it got out early, sell their investments, and got out before they were left holding the bag.
Yes. Okay. So, Mr. VJ, I want to say thank you very much for being on our show. Next time, on our next show, we'll be talking about the impact of real estate on finance, and we'll talk about key indicators, key finance indicator, or key real estate indicators, and then risk factors and speculation. So, and I'm looking forward to our third show, and I will keep our listeners informed. And Mr. VJ, I'm going to let you say your last word to the community, and then we'll go ahead and conclude the show.
Thank you very much. I still believe, and me and Jack share the same thing, that real estate investment is the best opportunity you have now in this volatile new markets that we have not in this time here. Real estate investment is, if you take good care of your asset, then it will only appreciate in value because of what you've done to it. And that's how I treat real estate investment. So I think it's still the best investment out there from the beginning of time to now.
Well, VJ, you absolutely...
Thank you, Jax.
Thank you very much, VJ, for being on the show, and we'll talk later. Donc, n'a dit tout le monde merci qui te prend Tichès Bay pour écouter des émissions Solstice Realty, et n'a tout dit merci à sponsor n'a commencé avec First Choice Insurance of America de monsieur Al Oxy dans 904-732-1818 pour tout besoin d'assurance. Nous contactez monsieur Al Oxy ou bien Pasteur Oxy. Et ensuite, pour tout besoin de plumbing, nous, le docteur plumbing, c'est M. Rodney Robillard. Donc, le docteur plumbing, c'est M. Rodney Robillard, excusez-moi, dans 904-444-4614, 904-444-4614. Et pour air conditionné, relais M. Nick, de Climate Expert Heating and Air, relais Nick, dans numéro de téléphone 770-540-3701. Et M. Stanley Louis pour tout besoin d'appliance, c'est-à-dire les fours à tomber en panne, les frigidaires à tomber en panne, toute bagaille dans à tomber en panne, et M. Stanley Louis dans 904-554-0630. Et nous sommes capables de faire des podcasts, nous allons sur le site solsticerealty.net, n'importe le que vous voulez, cliquez sur Radio Show, ou bien cliquez sur podcast, ou des choses comme ça dans l'heure qui convient à vous-même. Donc, la prochaine fois que nous venons à la radio encore, premier week-end mois de mai, nous avons venu avec une rubrique qui parle sur la vie d'une maison. Nous allons parler de réparation de caille avec M. Pasteur Fritz Nerlendor. Donc, merci à tout le monde qui t'attend des émissions sur Solstice Realty et merci à M. Michael Paul qui toujours supporte la radio, qui est co-host sur ça. Donc, il a pris congé de nous parce qu'il est enseigné le samedi. Et nous avons merci à M. DJ Woody et Silencieux, c'est eux qui ont préparé un peu l'adieu avec Tim Songyon pour nous. Et merci à M. Yvon Angélus, c'est voilà qui souche dans le plaçage là. Et merci à M. Johnson Saint-Hilaire, le seigneur Diego, qui c'est programmation directeur. M. Johnson Saint-Hilaire, Diego, c'est technicien radio. Et merci à tout le staff Radio Puissance Inter. Donc, passez bon week-end. Donc, nous avons retourné pour l'autre rubrique qui est plus fort.
Ça fait longtemps non pas ouais comment bagaille.
Mon cher, nous là n'a frappé ça n'est fait.
Mon cher, m'a fait des marches pour nous capable venir habiter dans Floride très bientôt avec toute famille là. Est-ce que vous référez à une compagnie qui fait real estate pour aider dans le processus ça?
Bon, m'a bao Solstice Realty avec tout agent lié qui a bail bon service real estate en Haïti et en Floride. Ou ka toujours aller sur site yo qui c'est www.solsticerealty.net ou bien carré dans 904 886 3100.
Est-ce que son G majorité les teams qui ont caille en Floride et puis tenant refusé payer. Est-ce que Solstice Realty fait pour appeler manager?
Bien sûr mon vieux, n'a loué caille là, collecter loyer chaque mois à l'heure pour Marjorie.
Merci en pile cousin. Eh bien, si c'est comme ça, yo caille dem vendre caille moyen dans New York tout.
Pour caille Paula, n'a cherché un agent qui vous vient lister caille là pour venir mettre li à vendre pour sans être chargé. Juste faire nous connaître l'obret.
Cousin, avant aller, maman me gen 3 caille Haïti actuellement. Yon déjà dans loyage et puis 2 l'autre vide. Est-ce que vous avez une compagnie qui a aidé en Haïti?
Bien sûr, nous avons service en Haïti tout. So allez sur www.solsticerealty.net et puis cliquez sur Haïti pour avoir tout argent que nous gagnons à Haïti et avec toute propriété que nous avons nous bien loué à Haïti.
Solstice Realty ça pas gagné ou pas fait même. Mais est-ce que monsieur ça va marier mon?
Non. Solstice pas marier mon. Solstice c'est placer nous placer mon dans caille.
Hello, moi c'est Jacques Guillaume.
Hello, my name is Marie-Danielle Guillaume.
Moi invite au bouton de Solstice Realty tous les samedis de 11h à midi pour nous répondre toutes questions sur real estate pour à bord de 1530 AM Radio Puissance Inter.
We invite you to listen to the Solstice Realty radio show every Saturday from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Call us with questions at 904-786-2400. And for more information, call us or text us at 904-386-1726 or call the office at 904-886-3100.
Ou capable toujours les radios à 904-786-2400. Et pour plus d'informations, ou capable toujours contacter nous dans 904-386-1726 ou bien capable les office là dans 904-886-3100. Ou capable toujours contacter n'importe agent Solstice Realty.
And if you did not get a chance to listen to the Solstice Realty radio show, you may listen to the program on YouTube by searching Solstice Realty.
Mesdames et messieurs, Mesdames et messieurs, Sautis Realty de Jacques Guillaume.